Okay, we're going to go over how to adjust the anti-backlash nut on your lathe saddle. Okay, so basically we have our lathe saddle cross-line assembly. When you have this, it'll be on your lathe like so. The best thing to do is to grab your lathe, turn it upside down so you have the same access that I have to all the components right here. Okay. Okay. First thing that you want to do is, actually, a little bit of this. I would bring your saddle up close to the end of play right here, because we're going to take the hand wheel off and the thrust collar so we have easier access to these components here. Alright, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is loosen the set screw, the set screw in the hand wheel, and that's a 3/32 Allen wrench. And that guy comes right off. Okay, you'll notice that there's an indentation on the lead screw end where the set screw was. Okay, that'll be important when we do the reassembly. 3/32. Also, we have a shim washer right here. That'll come off when I take off the thrust collar. Don't lose that. It helps the hand wheel move smoother. Our screw for our thrust collar. We have our thrust collar and our thrust washer. Okay. Okay. Now we have easy access to the button head screw that holds the adjuster for the anti-backlash nut. Okay. What we're going to do is break him loose. Come on, guys. I'm going to take it all the way apart so you can see how everything goes together first. So we have our 832 button head screw and our adjuster wheel. Okay. Then we have a set screw that goes through this hole into the anti-backlash, or sorry, goes through this hole into the slide screw nut, which is inside the saddle. If I back this out, you can see how the anti-backlash nut is coming out on the screw. And I'm going to break this guy loose, back it out a couple turns, okay, and then you should be able to wiggle this guy out. If he doesn't wiggle out, okay, if it's a little tighter than that, you can always tap the end of it with your T-handled Allen wrench. Okay. And you can see that this guy has an indentation in it. This slide screw is inside there, and the set screw is what holds it in place. Okay, where this goes wrong is if the set screw comes loose. If either this comes loose or this comes loose from the adjuster screw. Either one of those comes loose, you'll have a situation where you have it'll work in one direction and then it won't work in the other direction, and you'll have all sorts of slop. Okay, so to put this thing back together, we put the slide screw in. It should be a slight press fit, slip to slight press. You might have to give it a tap to get it in there. Okay. What I'm going to do is put the hand wheel on. We'll put this guy in first. We'll put the hand wheel on to get a feel for this. Right now I'm going to bring this down just until it touches and stop there. That's all the slide screw nuts all the way seated against the bottom of the C-bore. That just touched it right there. Okay, and as I turn it, it's moving through very easy right now. Okay, if you, for some reason, take these parts off or you get new ones, you will notice that the anti-backlash nut has a step on one side and it's dead flush on the other. The step goes this direction. The because that step actually goes into the counter bore that the slide screw nut went into. And that's what keeps it located so it's not floating free there. So we'll bring that guy down. You can spin your nut into place. Okay, that nut is all the way up against the face of the saddle nut now. Okay. What I'm going to do right now is just put my hand wheel on just so I can use it to get the proper tension on my slide nut. And you can look and see where your original indentation was, and put the set screw, bring it up till it's flush with the end of the hand wheel, and put your set screw in there. Just lock it down, just snug. Okay, so that's snug right there. Okay, when I move this, it's still moving nice and free. Okay, what I want to do is I want to tighten this down until it makes it hard to turn the slide screw. So right now it's nice and free. I go a little bit more, still nice and free. A little bit more. Okay, right there I've got a little bit of drag. Okay, which means that it's now indented the brass slide nut, and it's actually starting to put force onto the slide screw. If I go a little bit more, it's going to basically lock this thing up, which you don't want. So you want it to where it's just starting, that's too loose, where it's just starting to grab the screw a little bit right there, okay? So you have some resistance to it right there, and basically the screw will work its way into the brass slide screw on that part of the thread. It won't be an issue. Okay, so that's the proper tension I want on my set screw into the slide nut. Okay, now I take my hand wheel back off and we'll adjust the anti-backlash nut. Okay, so that guy was just snug. Hand wheel's off of there. Okay, now what I want to do is get my anti-backlash nut back down into that counter bore. I'll bring the saddle up so it's flush with the top here and I have easy access. My adjuster piece right here, it's knurled. It's got the same knurl on it that you have on the anti-backlash nut. If you put it in the knurl and you roll it into location over the hole, then you know that your teeth are meshed on your anti-backlash nut and the adjuster piece. I'm going to put my 832 screw in. Have it straight up and down. Get your thread started. Some of these might be a little bit snug. Okay, if they're snug, you can take a deburr knife and just deburr out the center hole on the adjuster piece to open the hole a little bit. Okay, so right there is just snug, and I've got mesh right there. I actually turn. Yeah, they're meshed. We're good. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn my screw. That's too tight. I'm going to turn my screw in a little bit more. Okay, now what I want to do is bring the shoulder of this down below, okay, and I want to put the thrust collar back on. The thrust collar has a raised surface on one side and it's dead flat on the other. The dead flat surface goes against your cross slide. The raised surface is what's going towards your hand wheel, so that the hand wheel is only making contact with this small surface here, not with the bigger surface. And we put it over the end of the screw. Located on over the hole. Okay. And we lock it in place. Okay, now the reason you're doing it so close like this is because this gets it aligned with the saddle. Okay, I'll show you a second here. Okay, so that goes in line. Okay, if we had I shifted it all the way down just to show you why you want to align it, put it all the way up against the end. Okay. If I have this guy loose, right? If I have this much distance between my saddle and my thrust collar, and this screw isn't perfectly straight, okay, or the location through the saddle, if it's off a little bit, so it's sitting at an angle like this, okay, then my alignment is going to have the screw off at an angle like that. Okay, so it's fine when my saddle's far away, you won't notice anything at all, but as you bring the saddle closer to the end of travel, it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter, okay, because the screw is actually at an angle to the saddle. Okay, that's why we do this adjustment with the saddle up as close to the end of the cross slide as possible. Okay, I've got the saddle back where it should be for alignment of the thrust collar. This screw's loose, and you can see I've got play in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put it at about the middle of the play. I'm going to tighten the thrust washer down and give us a good snug on it. Okay, all right, now I'm going to put the shim washer on. Okay, now very important, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as much of the mechanical backlash that's created in this sandwiching action right here. You've got the shoulder right here that's pressed up against the back of the thrust washer. Okay, you've got the little thrust washer, there, and the hand wheel. Okay, basically, in order to have zero backlash, which is impossible in this mechanical setup here, you're going to sandwich these, the back of the screw adapter through the thrust washer and the hand wheel. Okay, so the best way to do that is to turn your screw so that it's moving the saddle away, which is putting force on the thrust washer to the backside. Okay, and then if you look at your screw adapter, you're going to see the indentation made by the set screw. Okay, what you want to do is turn this about 90 degrees to 180 away from there, so when we tighten our set screw down this time, it's tightening on virgin material on that screw adapter. Okay, and now I'm going to hold the hand wheel and the saddle, squeezing them together against each other. And I'm going to set my set screw now. So I bring it in, set it there. Okay, and that should be, right now I have virtually no mechanical slop whatsoever. However, it's harder to turn the hand wheel right now, and it will wear itself in. Okay, but that's as good as that mechanical backlash area is going to get. Okay, if you get it under 2 thou, that's the most you can actually hope for. You get it down around 1, you're doing really good. Okay, so right there, that guy's good. I'm not going to be able to, I can still turn it fairly free. Okay, what I suggest is once you get this thing dialed in, you can see that there's a gap right there. You take some 3-in-1 oil and you put a couple of drops in the gap. Its way in, okay, and that'll make your hand wheel go a lot smoother right there. Okay, that in itself just made it move smoother, and you still don't have any backlash. Okay, next is adjusting or any backlash. What you're doing when you turn this in is you're basically forcing this one away from the anti-backlash nut away from the slide screw nut, so that you're putting pressure on opposite sides of the thread. That's what gets rid of your backlash. Okay, this is a right-hand thread on the screw. So if you have a jeweler screwdriver, this works really well. If you have an X-Acto knife, that works fine too. In order to tighten up, to get rid of the backlash, to tighten it up, we want to turn the anti-backlash nut clockwise, which means we're going to turn the adjuster wheel counterclockwise. Okay. So again, if you use your T-handle wrench, this is great. It's for the little hammer. you'll see the anti-backlash nut turning to a tighter direction. Okay, if we don't tighten this down, or if you forget to tighten this down, okay, what's going to happen is, as you go through the motions, your anti-backlash nut will start to work its way loose and start coming up. Okay, that's one of the problems we have. Okay, right now this guy's not moving anywhere. Okay, our backlash on this is really tight right now, almost to the point of locking it up. So I'm going to back it off just a hair. Let's move it freely there, and I'm still not feeling any backlash. So that guy feels pretty good right there. Okay, so I'm going to move it away far enough to get my Allen wrench on the adjuster. I'll lock the adjuster in place. Snug that down. Okay, with the adjuster engaged, with the anti-backlash nut and locked in place, there's no way that this anti-backlash nut can work its way loose. Okay, so we're good right there. Again, what I would do on this is put some 3-in-1 oil onto it. And on your machine, you can put some on your finger and just wipe some onto the screw. Basically, back and forth. So this guy's pretty tight right now. Once you work it through the motions a bit, it'll work its way in. You'll still have virtually no backlash, and it'll move a bit smoother. Okay, the next one, as far as problems that people have, if you have a saddle where one direction you're turning it, and it's moving nice and free, and the other direction you turn it, it locks up. Okay, that's generally your gib right here. Okay, and if for some reason you loosen your gib to take this apart, okay, this is what locks your gib lock in place. Okay, if we unlock this, okay, and we tap on the small end of the gib. Push it? Yeah, okay, I can just push it by finger. Okay, that just loosened it up. Okay, okay, now this guy is super loose. Okay, but what happens is if this guy's not locked in place, and when I move this direction here, the gib is working its way out. And when I change direction and go this way, the gib is working its way in, and it will work its way into a point where it locks it up solid. You can't turn this at all. Okay, so if you have a situation where one way it's moving nice and free and the other way it's locking up, this most likely means your gib is not locked in place. Okay, so you don't want to have it super sloppy. Bring it in about snug right there. That's good. And then just lock this guy in place. Okay, you can put a little scratch mark on your gib if you think it's moving and see it's actually changing at all when you move in either direction. That guy's back in business right there. Okay, so there you have it. The slide screw's locked in place, anti-backlash nut is adjusted. Okay, we pinched this assembly together to get rid of the mechanical backlash in this part of the assembly, and this guy's looking good.